Our beloved country, Indonesia, has always had many problems. Colonies for hundreds of years, official who like corruption, and of course, the education had made us consistently enter the top 10 in the world in literacy, numeracy, and science, but from the bottom.
But apart from all that, there is one big problem we may often miss. Even 2 years before the proclamation, it turns out that there are figures who have predicted it.
Who is he, and what is the problem exactly? Come on, watch us to find out the answer to this question.
Now, I'm in front of the Indonesian Postal Museum in Bandung, of course. This museum was established on July 27, 1920, and it was inaugurated in 1931 during the Dutch colonial period. Until now, this museum stores many historical objects.
Indonesian Postal Museum has the first postage stamp in the world named Penny Black. When visiting there, you can see the stamp on a wall that has the inscription "The Penny Black," which was issued by the British government on May 6, 1840. However, the Indonesian Postal Museum also has a mystical story. One of the famous mystical stories full of mysteries of the Indonesian Postal Museum is about statues that are underground in this museum which can move by themselves during the day. Besides that, you can often see female figures who like to appear to children who visit. Then, the question is, why historical places like this are always associated with mystical stories that are well known in Indonesian society?
Belief in things, like the previous example, is nothing new in Indonesia. Regarding thinking, Indonesian people are still influenced by things that don't make sense, such as worshipping, superstitions, incantations, spirits, prediction, and so on. Two things could cause this way of thinking. The first is animism and dynamism, as initial that entered Indonesia. The second is the result of the time the Indonesian nation was in colonial period. The colonialists used to realize the freedom of thought could save the Indonesian people by quickly gaining independence. Therefore, they let Indonesian people get used to think passively by inhibiting the spirit of their as center instead of thinking based on science in solving problems.
In 1943, one of the founding fathers, known as Tan Malaka, wrote a book entitled Madilog. One of the points emphasized by Tan Malaka is the logic of thinking and the way of thinking of Indonesian people. Among the many logic of thinking, there is one thing that really discussed by Tan Malaka, namely the dogmatic and mystical way of thinking, or what Tan Malaka says, mystical logic.
The sad thing is that even after nearly 18 years since the first Madilog was written, many Indonesian people still agree and adhere to mysticology.
For example, in 2021 is that there are still people who believe in the existence of Babi Ngepet.
Satu orang datang, ketika itu diambil oleh dua orang yang menggunakan motor.
And it was proven that the news was a mere hoax, and the perpetrator had admitted it as a mistake. That's what is called a false belief. Tan Malaka said the way for Indonesian people to think forward is to go through three processes: mystical logic, through philosophy, and into science. Philosophy can shape how people think about condition, origin, and consequences, of course. Science can be done as a final step to solve problems through various empirical experiments.
The progress of a nation can be seen from the way of thinking of the people in it. The ability of citizens to solve problems can determine which direction the country moves. In Indonesia itself, there are a number of problems that make it difficult for the Indonesian people to move forward, and they are still struggling with the same problems. One of which is because the people still rely on mystical logic in solving problems. When people still like to listen to exciting news about someone's supernatural powers within myths in solving problems and consider it too challenging to have discussion based on science, what kind of progress can the Indonesian people expect in the future?